All right, everyone, welcome to the live portion of this week's mobile lesson. So we're going to cover a few things in this lesson. We're going to look at a couple of different frameworks. In particular, we're going to take a look at the Twitter Bootstrap framework, and we're also going to look at Ratchet, which is a new framework that I've recently come across that has some very interesting features and looks like it has a lot of potential. So we're going to kind of explore Ratchet as well. But before I go into that, I want to talk a little bit about media queries. So we had discussed media queries kind of very briefly in the very first video, but I wanted to give you an idea of what this actually looks like. And I've posted this link down below, but you can see here that, so don't confuse the website with the CSS term. So this website is called Media Queries, but it basically is a showcase of sites that implement media queries for a mobile experience. So to show you what I mean, you can see in their layout here that they show the state of the website at different levels or at different screen sizes. So if we click on one of these, we can look at the evening edition here in our just a standard browser. And if I copy that link and open it up in a mobile device, so this here is just a little, let's see here, a little iPhone simulator. And paste that in. We'll take a look. So now, as you can see, we've got the same website here, but one is optimized for mobile and one is not. Or excuse me, well, they're both optimized for mobile, but the screen resolution changes and you get a very nice mobile experience. So note, this is the same URL that we're looking at here. We're just getting a very different look and feel, and one that works very well with the mobile experience. So check out media queries. There's lots of cool examples of sites, and this will give you guys just some general inspiration for your designs as you move forward. So it's a very interesting site and a very cool thing to check out. So media queries, we're going to actually be using them today when we talk about Bootstrap, and we're also going to be kind of referencing this, and we'll also be using our little mobile simulator to take a look at our site. So media queries, check that out. But for now, let's talk about Twitter Bootstrap. So it's called Bootstrap. It's Twitter Bootstrap because it's made by the wonderful folks at Twitter. They're the ones that put the project together. And what Bootstrap is a collection of website elements kind of built into a framework that allow you to build consistent UI elements every time. And there's a lot of interesting things baked in, like browser compliance and mobile testing and all sorts of really interesting things. So you can see, let's just look at the base CSS, that Bootstrap gives us all sorts of classes and HTML to create websites, and particularly user interfaces for web applications. So essentially, Twitter Bootstrap is a collection of CSS and JavaScript, and all you have to do is write the HTML, and Bootstrap styles everything for you in a nice way. And it gives you everything from basic headers to all sorts of different drop downs and buttons. Their buttons are very, very nice. So they have all sorts of interesting buttons with drop downs and variations. So all of this stuff is very time consuming to make. So if you had to make this on your own, it would be a lot of work. You would have to spend a lot of time creating all these. And if you just need to build internal applications or interfaces, nowadays with everyone building web apps, you need lots of interfaces for these things. And you don't always have time to put 6 months into a huge design and development project. If you need to build a back-end admin or something like that, or generally just need a framework for building a responsive site, Bootstrap is perfect for that. So it has all sorts of things, even like progress bars and graphs and just interesting things. Anything you can think of to put most user interfaces together, you can find in the Bootstrap library. Now, it also has a JavaScript component that allows you to do cool things like modals, so stuff like this, and all sorts of other interesting JavaScript goodies. So drop-downs are all JavaScript triggered. And they also have interesting things like carousels for doing photo slideshows. So you can see, even if you don't want to use the entire Bootstrap library, there are bits and pieces within Bootstrap that will almost work on a universal level within any website. So for instance, if you just needed a carousel for your web page, well, you could come just pull that carousel code out and use that. So you can see over here, you can customize your download. But for this lesson, just go ahead and download the homepage Bootstrap and once you unzip that, drag that into your week 10 folder, and you'll see what I have over here. So here's my Bootstrap folder, and then in it, once you unzip that, you should get a CSS, an image, and a JavaScript folder. And then I've just created an HTML file here for working with Bootstrap. So this will kind of be our demo here. So go ahead and create an index.html file and get it set up like this, just a standard header with a title page. And then you'll see here a link to the bootstrap.css. So if you open your CSS folder, you'll see there's a bunch of different CSS files in here. Bootstrap responsive CSS, Bootstrap min, responsive min CSS, Bootstrap CSS, and Bootstrap min.css. The .mins are just minified, compressed versions of the standard files. So these would be what you would use in a production environment when you're serving these over the web. For now, we're going to use the uncompressed version so that we can go in and look at the code and it'll be a little bit easier to read. And since it's just development, I'm not all that concerned with the speed. So once you have that going, your index.html file, you should be able to open up your index.html file in a browser and see something. So a good way to test to make sure it's working is just create an H1 tag in your body, and the font should be Helvetica. If you open up your browser and you see that, if you see Times New Roman, then you need to double check your link element in your CSS file and make sure that you're pointed to the CSS directory within your Bootstrap file. So a lot of times that's just going to consist of removing that / in your href attribute. So now we can see that Bootstrap is running here. So make sure you have that set up and then move on to the next video and we'll start to look at Bootstrap and piece together a site.